The Unscrewed Mind.
Okay, so welcome to the Unscrewed Mind. This is episode number 44 after a 2-month hiatus. And
Hiatus.
is that the wrong word?
No, I like it. It's a big
It's
a big word, but a short one.
Now I feel like I need to do it again. Thank you.
No, I just I like the word hiatus. I like it.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about there's no better time than right now. And I kind of want to talk about where we've been and why we haven't been on, and just the kind of the things that have changed with us. And for me, they all align with my goals for the most part. Some things have happened that you don't want to happen, but and then I'm in a newer environment. You can see that by the video, but basically, in October, I was told that I had to move out of the house that I was renting, and my heart dropped because we're in the middle of
Quite possibly like the biggest rush on houses you could possibly imagine.
Right. The housing pandemic, we'll call it. Yeah. But yeah, so my goals are fully aligned with purchasing a new house, getting the house that I want, having a checklist of things that I want, and you've got an idea of what you want that house to be, and I'm sitting in that house now. And it was so weird because when it happened, I felt like the worst thing in the world had just happened to me, because I had lost the home that I was staying in. I had 60 days to get out of it, and looked at 20 different houses. Didn't like any of them really. Put in an offer on another house that we liked, and just got all bent out of shape feeling because we didn't get that house. And you're sitting here wondering, why is this not happening? I've got my goals written down. I know what's supposed to happen. And turns out that I don't know what's supposed to happen, because what was supposed to happen did happen. And so it's been a great feeling. And I think anybody out there that has a really, really big goal in mind and they want to move towards it needs to really understand that there's stepping stones for you to step on before you get to your goal. One of the biggest holdups for me for this podcast, and it's like a floodgate opening for me, and I feel so much better, is I felt like the area that I was in at my other house, the house I was renting. So this is my house. I own this house I was renting. The background didn't look right for me. The room that I was in, I didn't like it. I had a lot of negative thoughts about where I was, and I have a thought process about how that affects viewership, because I think that everyone that's watching may be guilty of the same thing. Is you see somebody and you think about where that person is sitting, what you're seeing on the screen, and you're making a judgment, or you're thinking about, what that person's life could be like based on a background. And it's kind of stupid, but it's something that bothered me.
So couple questions.
Yep.
And I guess one question, one statement. I'm so glad that you removed the limitations that are holding us back by buying another house. It's very nice of you.
Yes,
Second thing that I found astonishing when you were going through the house buying process is just how crazy it was and how competitive it was. When you consider, you would attempt to buy a house and you would bid and you would be 10% over the asking price of the house, and you would be outbid on that without any opportunity to to counterbid or any of that kind of stuff. And then when you find what ends up being the perfect house, you bid, right? And your bid is chosen, and it didn't sound like it was the highest bid, but your bid was chosen because the person who was selling the house felt like it was going to a good family.
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful part of the story, and I don't want it to be left out.
Yeah. So this is absolutely crazy, but my wife actually wrote down an exact dollar amount that we wanted to buy the house below the market value. And she wrote down $40,000 less than the asking price. This house we got for $39,000 below the asking price. I wish she would have wrote down 200,000. So
Free.
that was a mistake.
Jeez. Jeez, Lindsay.
But
It's like Superman choosing to walk around.
Yes, yes.
Like, come on, Superman, you can fly.
So just super exciting stuff. And we were not the best bid. The person that I purchased the house from told me that they wanted us to have the house. They've never met me. We've never spoke prior to the closing. So how the person could want me to have the house, I can't tell you how that's possible, except for it was divinely aligned. And
so let's do this. Let's set some goals. Are you ready?
I mean, okay, let's go.
Yeah, but I want to do this first. You know what I like to do for every episode is I like to look things up. And I think anyone naturally does that. So I went on Google and I just looked at how to set goals, right? So I found a 5 steps, 5 golden rules for goal setting. I want to bounce these off of you, but what I want you to tell me is, once I read them, like, how would the law of attraction change one of these or any of these, or what should you keep in mind when thinking about how to put down your goals? Because a lot of this seems like old knowledge or things that are passed down, which may or may not be true. So I want to get your take on it.
Before you say it, the most successful people that I know, or the most successful people in my thought process, when I start talking to them about the law of attraction, it's so funny because they will not call it the law of attraction, but they will tell me or stop me when I'm telling them something and phrase it in a different way. And it's the exact same thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I won't be surprised if these 5 things sound extremely obvious, but, and the law of attraction in itself is obvious, but we just have so much doubt cast on us from society that you start thinking negative or like you can't, and then you can't.
Right. Right. So the first golden rule of setting goals, ready? Set goals that motivate you. Right? Should be something that you want to work towards, something that's for you and not for somebody else. So you need to make sure that you know the why behind it, and you need to make sure that there's emotion behind it. Right? And I think that the key emotion is positive emotion.
Right. So that, to me, what sticks out in my mind when I think of that is, are you doing something that you don't like and you've got a goal in that field to continue doing it?
Yeah. I think everyone can agree with that.
Yep. And so you're questioning, you may be looking for a promotion and you have to leave your job. A circumstance comes up where you can't stay at that job, and you're thinking, well, I was wanting a promotion and now I'm not at that job anymore, so my life is over. Like that's the first thing you think. It's kind of like me moving out of the house or getting kicked out of the house because the person needed to come back to their home that they were renting me. Sounds like the worst news you've heard in a while, right? When you first hear it. So just paying attention to, what your goals really are in your heart. Because if your goal is to get a promotion, but you don't like what you're doing, you may get kicked out of what you're doing and moved into another field that is a promotion, but it's what you want to do. So the main thing is I think your inner being knows what you want and what you don't want, and you can't lie to it.
Yeah.
So you
Consciously,
can,
subconsciously, it's not
yes.
uncommon to want different things.
Well, that's the whole thing is subconsciously we're getting inundated with stuff that other people want or other control factors that other people want, and we're absorbing those. And if you don't have the ability to reject it, you need to get away from it, because
Or
if you
or if you're
know
not,
that it can happen.
yeah, and you got to
Go
be
ahead.
working to plant the ideas that you want
Right.
to carry. I mean, other people are doing it for you, so you should be doing it for yourself as well.
Most
This
definitely.
The second golden rule, and this is one we've heard a bunch, Rusty, and I think it's common knowledge. A lot of people probably use this step when they're setting goals, is make sure that you set SMART goals. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So, in case no one knows what SMART stands for, it's an acronym: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound.
Yeah.
So, out of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of that acronym, 2 of them are already limitations, I feel
Yeah.
like, right?
Yeah. No, I
Um,
agree. Yeah.
so
Go
I would
ahead.
change that immediately without your input, but tell me what you think as someone who set SMART action plans and SMART goals in the past.
Yeah. So to me, that is, there's two ways to look at it. You could say that the SMART goal may be something that you want to set for yourself to help yourself get on a certain track that you're wanting to make a change to, maybe your daily routine. So a SMART goal may work there because you're able to manage it in a very small area, or if you're just wanting to change things incrementally or small.
Mm-hmm.
But as Bob Proctor says, if the goal doesn't scare you, it's not big enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think a measurable, attainable, small goal is not necessarily what I would recommend people setting. But if you need to, like we've talked about in the past, just like with the car, if you're looking for a car of a certain color, that's a manifestation thing that you could try out yourself that can happen quickly. Um, that's a very small goal. And once you see that happen, it will open your mind up to maybe a little bit bigger goal, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. So I think it could be good. I don't think it's all negative, but yeah, I definitely don't like the limiting beliefs that are mixed into that.
Yeah. Yeah. Try setting a goal where the time is now, right?
Right,
Not 9 months, not 9 months from now, not a year from now,
right.
but where you expect
Well,
it right away and watch the difference, you know?
yeah, and just live in it as it already is. That's the key. Because if you're living in that it's not going to happen or it's not coming, that's where you're going to be in trouble, because fighting you're fighting yourself. Then
Mm-hmm.
you've opened the possibility to it to begin with, and then you're saying, oh no, it can't happen because of this or that.
Yeah. This third one, I don't think there's going to be much argument either way on it. Um, Makes sense. We talk about it all the time, is put it in writing,
Right,
right? I don't think there's anything to say here. It should be written down, not only so that you can go back to it, and when you open that book and you read that page, you're like, that was a goal of mine and I already hit it. But
right,
also too, it's important that you don't just set a goal and then set it aside. It's important that you're reminded of it, it stays top of mind until that goal is kind of built into the subconscious. So not only writing it down, but also reading it daily. Maybe that's the thing that you would add. Write it down and read it often would be what that step should really say.
right. I mean, when you first get started, it's like reading it daily because you're reprogramming yourself and you're looking at the goal and you're seeing the goal and you're starting to feel the goal. that's when things start to happen. Because when you first get into law of attraction, spirituality, you think, okay, I'm writing this down on a piece of paper. You don't think much of it. But if you start reading it daily, then you start to think about it. Then as you progress through your journey, you'll start to know that just the things that you think start to come true too. So, which they already did, but you had a lot of negative thinking in it. So I think that this is just a good way to set you in a positive direction, for an, to make it a habit. So writing stuff down for me is a way to make something a habit. Whereas in the past, I would just think or dream about something and I wouldn't think that it was concrete. I guess if that's, it's more of a
Yeah.
dream than it was a concrete thing that I know that's coming. And now when I have an idea of something that I want to do, I just kind of feel like, okay, well, that's what's coming. That's what we're moving towards. That's what's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I know it's coming.
Right.
So it's just a shift in that. But yeah, writing it down, get it done.
Makes
In
sense, right?
fact, I think I'm going to write down some stuff because I haven't really focused on that either since I've been, in the middle of this house transition.
Right. Right. Number 4, make an action plan. I think a plan always makes sense. And
Mm-hmm.
then we've been planning on doing this podcast episode on goals for, pretty much the entire 2 months we haven't done an episode at all.
Yeah.
And I was listening to a podcast, had a gentleman on there, and he said, if you have a goal and you're working towards it, you need to know your A, B, Z's, right? Not C's, Z's,
Mm-hmm.
where A is where you're at, Z is where you're going, and B is the next step you have to take. That's all
Yeah.
you need to know. So I think a lot of times when you set a goal or you have a plan and it's got to fall into this real specific this step, this step, this step, this step, this step, and you can get lost in all those details and it can feel overwhelming. But if
Right.
you just take care of that one next step, if you just take that one next step, you'll feel good about it, creates momentum, and then that momentum will carry you all the way through to the finish line. So
Right. Well,
I
yeah,
thought it was really good.
yeah, that makes perfect sense. And, that's keeping you from boxing yourself in too, because if you make an action plan that is so detailed that you're just, you don't even want to do the action plan. You're not
Yeah.
interested in the action plan.
Yeah.
Like, I think so many people box themselves in and make a situation that's unobtainable to themselves. So they're just like, oh, this is so hard. And, anybody that tells you that something is super difficult or hard to do, you'll notice that they've created most of the situation that's difficult.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
you can talk to, 20 different people that have the exact same job or, same line of work. And one person will say it's difficult. One person will say it's easy. Another person may say, it's ups and downs or, there's so many different answers that you're going to get on one particular subject. All of them are correct because it's kind of what they've created in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a hard thing to swallow for a lot of people. I know.
Yeah. I would say find a mentor, and make sure it's
Yeah.
someone that thinks what you want to do is easy. Right. And then
Right.
just do exactly what they do.
Yes.
Maybe there should be a 6th rule that says find a mentor,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. And just,
that's what makes a lot of sense.
yeah. And make sure that the person that is your mentor is living either the life that you want or doing the things that you want to do. Because if the mentor is working 70 hours a week, but it's achieving what you want, but you don't want to work 70 hours a week, or you don't want to be engulfed in what you're doing, then, there's just so many different things to look at when you're looking at what your goal is. Look at him back there.
Yeah. So let's move on to 5.
Yep.
Number 5 is stick with it. Right?
Oh yeah.
Don't let anything stop you. Don't allow yourself to become aggravated or concerned that things aren't working in the way you thought they would. Just keep your nose to the grindstone and keep on chugging towards that goal, no matter what it takes. And you're going to get there.
Yeah. Don't drop your goal, drop your expectations of the goal. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Because you will beat yourself up over something that you're preventing from coming to you because you're beating yourself up about it.
The Unscrewed Mind.